The next inspection, the second inspection out of the 6, is going to be the tractor inspection. So the overview sounds like this. Next, inspect all items from the driver entry area to the rear of the vehicle. These items include the underside of the vehicle and one rear driver side axle. If there are any items that are unique to the other side of the vehicle, please inspect these items. Now, when it says if there are any items that are unique to the other side of the vehicle, this vehicle there is something that's unique, and it's the exhaust stack. A lot of trucks have 2 exhaust stacks. This one only has 1. So we'll be going over to the passenger side and inspecting the exhaust stack. Now, the inspection starts at the door, the driver entry door. What I'm looking at is to make sure that the overall condition of the door is good. It's not bent, broken, or damaged. I'm going to open the door to make sure that the latch works properly. I'm checking the hinge by just lifting on the door a little bit to make sure that it's tight. I'm looking at the door seal, making sure that it covers the whole dimension of the door, that it's not dry rotted, cracked, or broken. And all the glass is in place and it's not broken or damaged or cracked. Continuing on, I'm going to look at my mirror. The glass in my mirror is not cracked, chipped, or broken. The mounting bracket is nice and tight and secure. The housing for the mirror is not broken or damaged. Everything seems to be perfect order. I'm going to move down to the fuel tank. The fuel tank is mounted by these 2 straps. These 2 straps should have a rubber gasket between the tank and the metal band. The tank itself is not dented, cracked, or damaged, and there's no fuel leaks coming from the tank. I'm also going to inspect the fuel cap to make sure that the gasket is in place so fuel doesn't slosh out of the tank. And I did notice that this little chain, this keeper that holds the cap in place, keeps it from falling and getting lost, is broken. So I would simply identify that to the examiner. Looking at the hoses and the wiring that's on the top of the tank, look at that real quick to make sure that the connections are adequate. There's no exposed conductors, no fluid leaks coming from there. Also look at the steps to make sure that they're firmly mounted to the tank straps. I'm inspecting the marker light on the side of the tractor. I want to make sure that the connecting hardware is in place, that the light itself is mounted firmly to the tractor, that the lens is clean and clear, not cracked, chipped, or broken. We'll check to see if the function works later on. That'll be the second to the last inspection that we do. I'm going to check the catwalk to make sure that it's not broken or damaged or bent, that it's securely fastened to the frame rails. I'm also checking the frame to make sure that it's not cracked or broken and that there's no non-factory or unauthorized welds or holes. Also checking the steps, making sure that they're firmly mounted to the frame. Connecting hardware is in place, not bent, broken, or damaged. Looking down between the frame rails, I'm looking at the drive shaft. I want to make sure that the drive shaft is true and straight. Doesn't look like it has anything wound up or twisted inside the U-joints. And I can reach down and check it. It feels firm, it's not loose. Now I'm inspecting the exhaust stack over on the passenger side of the vehicle. The shroud is in place, all the connecting hardware is in place. I'm looking at the stack itself. There's no soot coming out of the exhaust. That would be an indication of an exhaust leak. And all the piping, from what I can see right now, is in good condition. It's not broken, bent, or damaged. All the connecting hardware is in place. No hardware missing. Now I'm going to inspect the axle. I'm on the driver's side. I'm doing the front axle. Your choice. You can do the back axle or the front axle. So now I'm going to start with the suspension. Right here I have a spring hanger. It's connected to the frame. All the bolts are in place. Doesn't appear to be cracked or damaged. Then the spring is attached to the spring hanger. All the connecting hardware is in place. The rubber grommet that's in between the bolt and the connection here is in place. And then from here I can visually inspect the U-bolts. Both are in place. The nuts are in place. It doesn't look like it's bent, broken, or damaged. Everything is good there. I'm looking at the shock absorber. It's connected to the frame up on the top. Down at the bottom, the connecting hardware is there. The shock itself is not bent, broken, and it's not leaking fluid. I'm going to continue on with the brakes. Now in this example, this is a duplicate item compared to the front axle, so my inspection will go like this. I'm inspecting the brake hose, I'm inspecting the brake chamber, I'm inspecting the push rod, I'm inspecting the slack adjuster, and also the connecting hardware. And it does appear to be at a 90-degree angle to the push rod. This is a double chamber, so it is a little different than the front axle, but I'm looking at the second part of it the same as I did the front. I'm also inspecting the brake lining and the brake drum. Continuing on, I'm going to inspect the wheel, also the inside hub to make sure that there's no oil leaking. I'm going to inspect the sidewall of the tire, both on the outside, both on the inside, and then the outside of this tire. The same parameters as the front axle. There is a difference though, because I have dual tires. I want to check to make sure that there's no foreign debris or objects lodged in between the dual tires, and I want to make sure that both wheels are butted together securely. When I look at the tread pattern, I want to make sure that there's no excessive wear, unusual wear, and that the tread is a minimum 230 seconds here. I'm looking at the wheel on the outside of the assembly. I'm also inspecting the lug nuts and also the valve stem. All the same as I did on the front axle. I'm going to continue on with my inspection on the for the suspension. Now back here I have an airbag suspension. I want to inspect the airbag. Right now it's fully inflated. There's no cuts or damage. The point where the airbag mounts to the frame is not broken, bent, or damaged. The connecting hardware is in place. And then the bottom portion of the bellows is in place, properly mounted, tight and secure. And that completes the inspection on the axle. From here, I'm going to move to the back of the tractor. From this angle at the back of the vehicle, I'm inspecting the light, the taillight lenses, and then I'm inspecting the mud flaps. The mud flaps, I want to make sure that they're the width of both dual tires, and I want to make sure that they're not mounted too high up off the ground where a lot of debris could blow up underneath the mud flap itself. And the mud flap does have a little bit of damage on this corner right here, but overall it's in good, safe working order.